All right, welcome back to the hangar. So, I want to do a little update for you guys on the Kentucky Jets event. I went down a little early this time to do, like I mentioned before, with the large model inspection. Had a blast. It was a good year. I'll say that it's been a couple years since the entire gang, what I call the Mobile gang, was all there. So it was actually a pretty good time. And that's why I go, because there's a lot of times that I just don't feel like going, but I go because of the friends and the good times, the laughs, drinking, flying, joking, that kind of thing. So it's a good time. It's a little vacation for me because I don't get many. In fact, that's the first vacation I've had, or trip I've done, since Georgia Jets last October. So it's been a minute. But it was a good event. Lewis always puts on a fantastic event. This year, I kind of had some issues with some things, just personally, with the way the event went. Still a fantastic event, don't get me wrong, and I'll talk about them. Nothing, they're always trying new things, different things, and that's fine. And they're always trying to appeal to the masses, and I know they got to appeal to the people that sling down the money and donate stuff. But it's a general event. It's a everybody fly kind of event. So when they start doing certain things, it kind of takes away from that, I think. And like I said, still the best. It's the best event in the world, by far, hands down, the best event. Lewis is a good friend of mine. Love the man, and he's got a good heart. But there's sometimes, when you just try to, sometimes there's just try to do too much, and it can kind of get in the way. But anyways, so as far as the event goes, it was great. And the little issues I have are just little things. And don't get me wrong, they're the things that they did, like, they would give an hour for the scale guys to just scale jets come out for an hour, and then they'd give an hour to the 3D guys, and then they would give a little section to the guys that like to sit there and hover, and that's cool. But when you start doing it a lot, and like the last day they were doing that, and it was just the scale guys out there left, and you're like, hey, just go ahead and open it up for everybody, because this is a general fly. By all means, like show days, like what they used to do, like around lunchtime, especially on like Saturdays, or they didn't even do that they could do that every day for all I care, is do it in the middle of the day, knock out, bang, this is for them, this is for them. That way, if the vendors want to show off new stuff, they can. The hot dogs can hot dog, but then just leave the rest of the time for general flying, because you try to work it in a flight, and trying to do things. Sometimes the weather comes in, and it just, when it's a general flight, a flying event, you can end up taken away from the event if you're not careful. Little things, like I said, and this is not a review on the event by any means. I'm just kind of talking here. Like I said, the best event ever, in my opinion. So the other thing that kind of was a little different this year, they started it last year. They start doing and I know why they do it. It's, they're trying to come up with a way to kind of give and come up with awards for like best scale. So what they do is they bring in people like Rob Snyder. I know the name. I don't know what his history is. I know he does whatever, but they try to come up with like a judging parameter, and they do like a judging for all the scale jets to give the best thing. And yeah, I get it. This is not a scale judging event, but they're just trying to do something to kind of make it fair. And you kind of take the premise off Lewis, for trying to decide what's what. And I don't even bother anymore. I have scale jets, but I don't even take mine up there, because you have a lot of guys with some really deep pockets that don't even build their own jets, that'll roll up there with these ridiculously scaled out jets, and they'll win. Then that's fine. That's fine. If that's the way we want to do it, that's fine. So, like me, I don't even bother, because I'm there to fly. I'm not there to win trophies or anything like that. And I get why they're doing that, trying to come up with a thing, but it really does make it hard for the average guy. But then again, they do kind of pull some guys that are like, just some guy built this little model that he put a lot of detail in, and it's something rare. That's cool. Things, but it was just never that way before, and I guess we're all resistant to change, kind of a thing. So, but I understand why they do it. But little things, and it's a way for them to come up with, like I said, I don't even bother anything, because the time and money that they put into some of these jets that win, I'm just like, not my thing. So, but I get why they do it. So there's nothing wrong with that. What else? I like the way they do the silent auctioning stuff. I just don't agree with certain things that are just like, no, we're not going to auction this. It's just you pay this or nothing kind of thing. And then you go on their website and you could literally order it for cheaper than what they're selling it. But that's more so, I get why they did that this year too, is try to help Lewis out, try to help him, because this is a financial, it does take money to do this, kind of a deal. So, what else? That's about it, really. I mean, this is little things that just kind of bugged me this year. But like I said, we'll go again next year. Fantastic. There's no issues. They have the flight line nailed down. Despite the highest number from I think it's the highest number they had as far as registered pilots. There was no wait. There's a little wait, but they have a system set up that if people would follow the system, there'd be no issues. But then you get to guys that they want to come up there, they want to leave their equipment in the waiting areas, they want to walk off and do things, and it's not the place to do that, So they have a wait side that corresponds to a pad. So 1 and 1, 2 and 2 kind of a deal. So when you're waiting, you're in waiting 1, and then 2's, you got a guy in 2 waiting, and the guy in 2, which is the startup area, looks at the 2 station, and when they get like a 2-minute warning or their light comes on for the landing, you go ahead and crank. So as soon as they land and roll in, you're rolling out, and then the guy is coming over from the waiting area, waiting on to watch for the next guy to do it. So it goes really efficient, really quick, and is, I think, the way all events should do it. It's a very well oiled machine. Camping area was great. I don't camp. We always do the Airbnb thing. Tent thing was great this year as well. The parking trailers was good. They use a tractor to get them in and out. The only thing that kind of gets us an issue is when people start parking their vehicles across from the tent, which is, I get it, we all do it, but if it's somebody's trailer spot, you need to be cognizant of that, which everybody is. You tell them to move, they'll move. It's no big deal. But yeah, it was a fantastic event. Weather was really hot and muggy, but that's just Kentucky in the summer. Had a little rain. Most of it came at nighttime. We did have a couple showers in the daytime, but nothing major at all. And I was really glad about that, because I was really worried with all the rain we've been having that it was going to rain. It was going to turn into the Swampalooza like that when you're at the other side. But it didn't, so that's a good thing. And we didn't have to change directions like the last day. Usually it seems like every year, you're spending the whole event landing one way, and then on a Saturday, like the last day, it switches on you. So everybody lands bad because you're just used to going the other direction. That didn't happen this year. It was all out of the, I believe it's out of the south that day. Oh, yeah, and we're all landing to the south, so yeah. But the flying was great. I flew, I think, more at this event than any other event I'd ever been to. I did get the large model inspection done on the SU-27, which I need to get the paperwork out of the thing and send it in, because you only have a certain amount of time. So that got done. I got the maiden done on the F-15, and then I flew everything else, and everything else flew fine. The Minion Jet nose door issue is still there. So I'm going to try one other thing somebody suggested, kind of like an old school way of doing a gear door, putting like a bungee or something, so when the gear comes up, it actually pulls the bungee. I'll try that because that's something simple to do. And then if that doesn't work, only thing I can do at that point is cut some air vents in it and do like a screen that I can paint blue that kind of looks like the F-18, because it's either being, we think it's being blown open. Because I think if it was a suction, like a airflow over the airframe problem, I don't think it would be an issue, because it seems to happen the faster I go, the worse it gets. So, but little things. Still flew great. A7 flew great. One of the landing gear is starting to get that play again, but it's not the bulkhead. It's just, I think what's happening is because the motors aren't matched. Maybe one motor, like the right main, is coming up and it's hitting and amping out, and maybe it shuts the left one off at that point. So I'm going to try to figure that out and try to match them a little better to see if that's the issue. But if not, it's just going to have to be that way, and it kind of shakes a little bit when you put the brakes on, which is what was causing it to hit the frame before. But the bulkhead I'll check it, but I don't think if that bulkhead's broken loose again, then it's a huge deal, because I put a lot of support in there. So F-15 was great, no issues there. A couple little clicks of it kept wanting to dive, so I think the center position was off for the stabs, which wasn't nothing crazy. So once I got it trimmed out, flew great, flew it a few times during the event as well, and that's going to be a all-the-time flyer for me, especially here at our club, because it lands great, flies great, and it's a nice size, kind of about the size of the A7, maybe a little bit bigger. The SU, first maiden was very uneventful. Had a couple clicks of, like 6 clicks of right aileron, and that was it. Landing, what was it? Nose gear hung up, but that was because of the strut cover was catching on the door. So I did a little oopie, and it dropped it. Landed it just fine. No issues on the first flight. Second flight, I had a right main hang up when I went to put the gear down. And I think that the reason why that happened is because one of the last glue joint that I hadn't repaired for the hinges on the gear door popped, and it was hanging up. So I was kind of low when I did it, and I did the same thing, the little dip, and it was a little bit more aggressive than I wanted, and it really, and it took it. So that thing is a tank, and it brought the gear down. But I think when it brought the gear down, because it slung it so hard, it popped the locking mechanism for that main kind of off, and just popped it off. But there was very little glue, so I think it would have probably done it anyways eventually. Simple fix. But good thing is even without the lock, the gear held just on the air itself, just by the strut pushing, the air cylinder pushing on it. Ooh, this is going. So I fixed that night, and that was the second flight on it, and I was excited to fly it the next day because it was flying really good. The second landing, because I wasn't used to it and the wind was kind of changed and kind of a quartering, I kind of landed, thought we were over the runway, and then as it started to touch, it went below the runway, and I was actually right in the grass. Landed no problem in the grass, and rolled and taxied up on and brought it back over. So even in grass, that strut didn't collapse. So that's kind of a cool thing to know. But and that was the night. That night I fixed it, and the next night I went to fly it, and I found one of the temp probes in the engine had shit the bed. So it was reading 0. And I kind of had an inkling that it might be a bad temp probe when I test ran it, because one was about 16 degrees off of the other. And I know that's calibration, but usually when it's reading ambient temperature, they should be pretty close. And I ran it here when it knocked me over, and there's a funny story to that. Ran it that morning for the large model inspector. We did the checked everything, did the range check, and then I flew it twice. And then I guess on that last flight was when I powered it back up, it was done. So it should be a fairly easy thing. I got it. I'm pretty sure I have a temp probe here. It's got 0.4 on it. Motors, you know, it doesn't matter how good your motor is, if the crap you put on it is not good, you're only as good as your weakest link. So little things are biting Zyco in the ass these days. But as long as it's just the temp probe and not the board, we're good. So I'll do that, and I'll probably do a little video on that, just kind of showing you how to replace, because it's a real quick thing. You just don't, the hardest part is just taking it out of the can, and then you have to route it through the compressor housing and down to the little place that it plugs in, and you kind of make sure it's secure. So nothing crazy. And then two solders. But that ended it on that, so I just flew everything else for the next, and that was, I think that was a Friday that happened. Yeah, it was Friday evening, so I didn't get to fly it anymore. And that was about it. Everybody had a good event, a lot of flying, not many crashes this year, honestly, and that's kind of a good thing, you know. So it was a really good event. I had a good time. It was a long week. It was a very hot, long week, but that's expected, you know. I think I'm just getting older, and I don't tolerate the humidity and heat like I used to. So, what else? Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Like I said, the things I mentioned that I just didn't like are my personal things. Everybody else may love it. Nothing, no ding on the event. They did talk about some drama. You know, right now the world is very weird, and politics are very heated, and there is definitely a divide, and that has made it into the hobby and friends in the hobby. Unfortunately, I've dealt with it, Lewis has dealt with it, but it was obviously an issue with something at the event this year, so it was brought up, and you know, and then there was a little incident with an individual getting hit by one of the jets when he was going out to get a jet. Luckily he's fine, just some bruising, but you know, that was a little bit of a drama thing. But and the next morning is when he talked about everything in general, and unfortunately that's just, I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, not with the current administration and the type of thing that they foster. So anyways, so that's it. It's a very long-winded video, but it's a little update, and I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to clean up the shop. I need to get a lot of this clutter out of the way. I need to get a bunch of the old business stock out of the way. So if I noticed the website is actually down for ordering because my domain did expire, but I thought I had done something with Shopify to continue it, but it's not, so I'm not going to fool with it. So as of now, I guess it's it. But I do have some Zyco stuff if you want, you know, like the brake controllers, like the little brake controllers, landing gear controllers, actuators, air tanks, JMP stuff, still a bunch of Zyco stuff, and like pumps and leads and hubs for the motors. I do have all that stuff, and I still have a bunch of like light lenses, like scale light lenses, like I put on the Minion Jet. So if you want something, give me a shout online, and we can work it that way. But I'm gonna start boxing all that stuff up and clean up the shop in preparation for the next build. And this is going really long, but I got so much to say. Dear God. Well, I apologize for the long-winded video and nothing but chatter. I do have a build to do. I have the F-22 to finish, which I'm going to finish that. And there's not much left of that. I got to redo a few things, but it's kind of at the final setup and, you know, test fly stage. I have a new build, which I'll kind of do a video later, hopefully, about that. If you didn't notice this, it's secret. You didn't see that. Yeah, and then this year I'm going to try to do, I'm thinking about selling my F-14. I really am. I've got the 1.7.5, and it's a well-proven, good flying jet, but I think I want to sell it and then use the money from that to get its bigger brother. as long as they can do the exact same paint scheme with the exact same paint. That's the kind of stipulation. But that's next year. I'm not even thinking about that right now. But to come, next video is going to be the kind of secret thing. And then we'll just go from there. But I appreciate the channel support. I met some people at the event that watch the channel, and I don't get paid. I would love to be getting paid. You know, I have the views, I have the subscribers, but I got to work on, there's other things you have to do in the YouTube world to actually start getting paid, like short videos. So that's why I've been making everything a short. And so I'll keep at it. And then now that the business is done, like after I get some vehicle stuff handled in the future, I am 100%, I know it's a dream, but eventually I want to get a real airplane and incorporate the flying that I do with that into the channel as far as content. I have a dream. I want a twin just because of safety and going over water and mountains and night flying. And I would love to get an Aero Commander and restore it. Get something that's really, you know, low time engines or maybe even mid time, that's not a piece of crap, but that I can restore over time and, you know, update and fly it all over the world, or as much of the world as I can with it. So yeah, so again, appreciate everybody's support. Like I said, there was a few people that I didn't even know that had followed the channel and come out and said hey. And amazingly, you know, I haven't really gotten any beef about closing up the side business because people get it. They actually understand that how hard it is to get stuff right now, and the tariffs and the taxes, and it's not really worth it anymore unless you're doing it for a full-time thing, and it just wasn't possible with Xikoi. So anyways, appreciate y'all's support too. Like I said, I was kind of like, man, I'm gonna have to be defending myself, you know, but it's been pretty quiet, so I appreciate that. But everybody actually understood that we talked, you know, that would talk to me about it. So anyways, long ass video. Give a thumbs up, thumbs down. I had one guy saying, you know, horrible camera work, which I'll work on. But when you're doing it yourself and trying to show people stuff, it's hard to be, you know, pro camera. And yes, I do talk a lot, but that's part of the channel. If you don't like it, you can always give it a thumbs down. But I'm not gonna stop doing it. So you guys have a good one, and I'm gonna get to cleaning up and maybe get this video done on the next project. So have a good one. Cheers.